Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hogo With It. Today I want to recommend 4 books that I would recommend to you for Black History Month. So let's get into it. I don't always succeed every February reading something for Black History Month. However, I'm trying to do that for February. I'd really like to read something for that very important month. So I have a few here that I wanted to share with you in case you're planning on picking up something for Black History Month as well. The first book I want to share with you is a book I read last year, The Book of Negroes by Lawrence Hill. This takes you pretty much all over the world. You meet Aminata when she's a little girl in Africa, and she's kidnapped and enslaved. She's put on a slave ship and sent to America. But her journey doesn't end there. She really goes all over the place. Canada, she goes to England, and you follow her along the way. And this is about her resilience and the terrible things that happened to her and how she survived, and the kind of woman that she became, even through just the most horrible things, obviously, as a slave. I really enjoyed this. I loved Aminata. She's such a strong character, and also she has like a big sense of humor. She's just a really big presence, and she definitely found her way into my heart. So I highly recommend The Book of Negroes to you. This next book I want to just flag is written by a white author. Now, it's gotten a lot of critical acclaim and a lot of support from the Black community, but I just wanted to flag that because I think that's really important. This is The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. I really enjoyed this book. It was one of my favorites of 2017. And in this book, we're following 2 people. We follow Lavinia, who is a white girl. She is on her way from, I think it was Ireland, to America with her family, and many of them die. And she kind of is on her own. A slave owner decides to take her in, and she goes and lives with the slaves in the kitchen house. So you follow her story, and then you also follow the story of Belle, who is a slave who is owned by her father, who is the slave owner, and his family. And she also lives in the kitchen house, and it's about their story. And I just fell in love with all of these characters. A lot of these books, you really get so tied to these characters. It's a rather short book for the amount of stuff that happens in it. I want to say, it's like 360-ish pages, and it might be short, but it packs a punch. The plot is just go, 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 go. There's no time to breathe. Something is happening to these characters all the time, and I just adored the book. I tore right through it. And then after I read this, I read Glory Over Everything, which is the sequel, and you follow one of the characters from this book in that book. Both were really good. Obviously, The Kitchen House for me was like the best out of the 2. Next up is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This is such an inventive structure. Wow. Every chapter of this book, you're following the line of a family. So it starts out, you're following 2 sisters who actually don't know about each other at all. One of them ends up being taken in and married by a slave trader, and the other one is sent to America as a slave. And then you follow their children and their children's children, and it just goes on and on and on to present day. And I don't know how this author was able to make each character that you meet, because you only meet them usually for one chapter. Once in a blue moon, you'll meet them for 2 chapters, but really they get their standout moment in their chapter and just one. And I don't know how she was able to make them all people that you wanted only good things for. I was so drawn in to each and every one of these characters, and I don't even know how many characters are in this because you're meeting a new one every chapter. And yet you'd end a chapter and you'd be like, oh, I didn't want it to end, because you know that you're going to have to let these characters go and move on to another character, and then you fall for those characters too, and it's just so good, so beautifully written. I loved Homegoing, and I so highly recommend it for Black History Month. The last one is probably the hardest. Yeah, I read this a long time ago. I think I read this when I was 18, so I don't want to talk about how long ago that was, but it's Feeding the Ghosts. This is about slaves on a slave ship and about their experience. I remember this really affecting me when I was that young. I don't know if I had read anything like this up until that point. But it really affected me. This is one of the only books on my shelves that I had read that long ago. It's followed me around a lot of places. I did English Lit. A lot of those books aren't on my shelves anymore. But this has followed me around for many years. And there's a very good reason for that. It is really hard to stomach. It's very emotional. So just a little warning. It's so worth reading and so important to read. But I just wanted to warn you about that. But those are the 4 books that I wanted to recommend to you for Black History Month. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for me to read for Black History Month, because I am planning on reading something for it. So let me know, and I will talk with you soon. Okay? Bye, guys.